The first week, I can admit I was a beaten man the first week.
Yeah.
Never saw it coming. Not only didn't see it coming, I never thought it could happen to me. So that's even worse than not seeing it coming. I've seen what happened to people, who you've mentioned, and I've sat there going, my board's solid. We've got the same visions of what we want. Anything we see that's wrong, we will criticise, and I always have done. Even, if it's been unpopular, I will say that's wrong for these reasons. Again, I may be wrong, but this is my view. Board's always been there and always said, yep, that's what we're going to do here. But I think it's always the word racism. The word racism terrifies white people. It just terrifies them. But once you take a step back from this crowd, and once they have the scent of blood, they don't stop. It's not like, you've apologised now, and we're going to take that apology because we're decent people, and we're going to now hope you learn. It's no. Now you've apologised, we're going after you more now because we know you'll back down. And take one step back, and we're going to take another step forward, and we'll force you to take another step back until you're 2 miles down the road, and you're going to wonder how I got here. And we're going to say to you, one step at a time, mate, because you always step backwards when you shouldn't have moved. So I was asked to apologise by the board, and I said, no, I'm not apologising, because I felt I did nothing wrong. So I wasn't going to apologise because I don't want to be 2 miles down the road. And you didn't next year.
When you didn't apologise, that wasn't something you had to think about. That was your instinct.
Instincts. I'm not apologising. When you've grown up on the estates I've grown up on, you don't apologise. I apologise if I've said something wrong, and I'm the first to apologise when it's like, I misunderstood that, I misread that, or now I've got some information, and I will apologise when I know I was wrong. Not to quell the mob, because the mob can't be quelled like that.
So basically there was a period, so you were, feeling pretty beaten, as you say,
Yep.
And then you started to mount, basically a comeback, didn't you?
First week I was a beaten man. I sat at home thinking to myself, what have you done? What has your big mouth gotten you into this time that you cannot get yourself out for? Everyone's laughing at you. The people on Twitter think they've won. You've made the whole country slightly worse because they've got another victory now. You've ruined your life. You've got your reputation's in tatters. 6 months before, I was awarded an MBE from the Queen, and within 6 months I'm now racist and been sacked. And then a friend phoned me up and said, Nick, why haven't you fought back? You've not answered one thing on social media. It's as if you're guilty. We know you're not guilty, and we agree with what you wrote, but you've not said a word. I went to bed that night thinking, I've capitulated. And I woke up, hardly slept that night. Well, I've not been sleeping much anyway, but I slept even worse that night. Woke up 7 o'clock in the morning and went, right, the fight back starts now. Probably won't get my job back or my charity back, but if I can save my reputation, that will stand me in good stead for the future, because at the moment I'm probably unemployable. So I need to get my reputation back. So I started thinking about, pad and pen, right, what can I do? What strategy am I going to use? There was a knock on the door. Open the door, and the guy stood there going, mail on Sunday, can we have a chat? And I went, just a man.
Really? It was like that?
Come in, have a brew. I wasn't that flippant, because the first thing was, right, this has taken me a bit by surprise, but he came in, we had a brew, we talked about it, I thought, right, this is perfect timing. So they did their article a few days later on Sunday, obviously, and then the whole world changed for me on that Sunday. Within hours, I had hundreds of messages, all support.
Really?
By the end of 2 weeks, I must have had over 1,000 messages on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, absolutely every one of them positive, from the UK, from France, from America, from Australia, mainly from the UK, telling me that, don't give up, that really helped. Because up to that point, the only person telling me what I did was correct was my conscience.
Yeah.
Nobody else was telling me I was right. Nobody else was sticking up for me. And you do have doubts, because we're human. I'm there thinking, have I gone too far? But all of a sudden, thousands of people contacted me. And then I got other press opportunities then. Talk Radio were fantastic. The Critic Mag were great. And I'm pumping out my side of the story there. That then was adding more pressure to the board. It was obvious they didn't like pressure, that's why they terminated me. So I thought, well, if we can put more pressure on them the other way. A former trustee phoned me up and said, would I mind if he started a online petition to have me reinstated? But he said, I don't want to do it if you don't want me to. I want to make sure you're happy with this. So I said, yeah, go ahead. That got nearly 18,000 signatures,
Really?
where the petition to get me fired got 450.
Right.
What's that, 30 to 1, something like that.
Yeah.
Again, that put a smile on my face, thinking, no, there's something here then. Then by that point, I joined the Free Speech Union.
This is Toby Young's
Toby Young
organisation.
Free Speech Union.
Yeah.
I advise everybody to join the Free Speech Union. Even if you don't need them, at least your annual fees are paying to support and help somebody like me.
Couldn't agree more.
You know, it's not about, well, you need, it's about we all need someone to speak up. They were fantastic. They then got a solicitor involved who looked at my case and looked at all the information and my contract and went, clear case of breach of contract here, clear case. We spoke to the board, he spoke to the board, explained where the mistakes were and what they'd done wrong. They then resigned, they then appointed a new board who I approved. They then resigned. I was then reinstated.
And that was how long after the original thing?
5 weeks. The whole thing took 5 weeks.
So relatively quick, actually. I mean,
in the grand scheme of things, but it felt like 9.5 years to me at that time.
But a lot of people, they would look and say, well, how do I fight back on this sort of thing? I mean, how don't you need money to do it? You need to have lawyers to do it. It's quite intimidating for many people, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think the one piece of advice I can give people would be, if you've lost everything, you've got nothing else to lose. And that was the mistake they made with me. They backed me into a corner, they beat me down, they took everything I ever had and thought I was going to stay on the floor. I had nothing else to lose. That's why I fought back.